you know what? I don't know. But I'm so excited to be on tonight. So I'm going to get right into this because you know what I like to do is get right into the information that we're going to talk about so that you can move on with your evening. I know you may be driving home or whatever, but hey, get on the call right now. Call somebody, let them know, hey, you need to be on. You need to be listening to this because this guy is talking about some pretty good stuff. So to all our partners out there, I appreciate y'all for being on. I've met some wonderful folks here as we've been this year, 2012, really plugging in this mentor support and endeavoring to do something great in our communities. I've met so many wonderful people, different schools and administrators all over East Texas that are catching on to the wave, that are catching the wave, that know that the only significant difference that can be made in the life of a student, a system, a community comes through mentoring. It comes through you stepping up, bringing your expertise to the table. So I want to appreciate everybody that's been out there and been opening their doors to let True U University come into their organization and help them out with their mentor programs. But tonight, I want to share some tips tonight in our as we send out the e-blast. I said tonight we're going to be talking about raising exceptional leaders. It is mentoring extreme or extreme mentoring, and this is the ideal where uh, not only where you start to understand that your mentoring does make a difference in the life of an individual, but it's where specifically you begin to focus on creating a strong leader with your mentee. You create a strong leader with your mentee. Because you know what? I've been in mentor relationships where my focus has not been to quote unquote develop a leader. But inevitably, what happens is, you end up putting that individual on a path. And the cycle of mentoring is that once you influence a life, that life is now on the path to walk out their greatest destiny. It is almost um, inevitable that they go ahead to influence someone else the same way that you influence them. So I guess we can look at this and say, you know what, we're going to make leaders regardless. But what I wanted to do is tonight is to talk about a couple of points and about helping develop your mentee as a leader, being leader specific. Because I believe that this is a great day where great people can influence lives, and the longevity of that influence has the potential and the capacity to go through many generations and millennia beyond our lifetime. And so we really have to be dedicated to putting our gifts and talents out there, disseminating information, creating environments where we can really sow into the lives of people to help them and to change their perspective in life. And so I've been reading a book, and I'm going to share some points from this book that I've been reading. This is a great, great resource and tool for anyone that's out there. And I'll show you what this is, or tell you. This book is called The Miracles of Mentoring: How to Encourage and Lead Future Generations. This book was written by Thomas W. Dortch Jr. And the 100 Black Men of America. It's a great mentoring organization. There's a lot of those chapters here in Houston and around the nation and in the world. So this is a great resource for you. It's called The Miracle of Mentoring. It's a great book, and I want to make sure that if you want to hone in some of your skills, this is a great resource for you to dive into. I want to read a quote that was written in this book from John F. Kennedy. It says, "A man does what he must in spite of obstacles, dangers, and pressures, and that is the basis of all human morality. And such morality is the foundation of real leadership. Leadership that allows us to pursue fulfilling and productive lives, that translates into personal missions, that hold the common good as the greatest good." What a quote. I mean, that's just full of just some rich information about the foundational components of impactful leadership. And as you mentor, I drew so much out of that statement because in the ideal of mentoring, when you become one on one, you're holding the hand of an individual to lead them to a point destiny, the greatest potential in their lives. one of the ideal things that we seek to establish in a mentoring relationship is a set of quote unquote core values. And in that objective to create a workable system of core values, you do touch on things like basic fundamental morality or the place that this individual will be living their lives from. Now, I believe this is very important, and any mentor that's worth their salt will begin to challenge their mentee to discover their core values, to look inside of themselves and learn how to live from this space in their spirit, this space in their soul, where they judge the environment that they live in, they make the decisions for their life. The core values are very, very essential. And so, as we look at the leadership development of our mentee, we have to hone into how do we help them discover or launch from a platform of secure morals and sound values. And I feel that the greatest curriculum, if you allow me to say that, is a leadership type approach. And I'm going to go over today about three things that I feel that every mentor, as they move into a leadership development with their mentee, should focus on. There are three specific things. There are actually more in this book, but there are three of them that stood out to me that I really wanted to discuss or lay out. So we're building from the foundation with our mentee that I have to help them establish a core value system. That's very important. So keep that in mind. In your dialogue, you want to help them say, hey, this is where you need to live from. Because inevitably what's going to happen, you're going to leave that mentee. You're going to go on. That mentee should graduate. They should go on to get other people. But the ideal thing is to equip that mentee in the season that they're with you with the set of core values that'll help them walk out their life and help them fulfill the destiny and walk out the tools that you've put in them. So let's look more importantly at some of these characteristics of a leader. Now, I'm going to use the characteristics and then explain some of the lessons or approaches to the lessons that as a mentor you can apply and you can teach to your mentee. And number one, this is one of the core characteristics of a leader. A real leader, uh, a real leader prepares others to follow and pass the baton to a new generation when the time is right. This is seemingly what I'm reading here is the characteristic of a real leader. And this particular point stood out to me. Real leaders prepare others to follow and pass the baton to the new generation when the time is right. So you may say, what does this have to do with mentoring? Okay, here's the strategy. When you sit down with your mentee, in the back of your mind, you understand that a real leader, this is the point, prepares others to pass the baton to a new generation. So how can I create a conversation that is tied up to these 2 points, these key points? Number one is that following does not make you a weak person. Following, being a follower, does not make you a weak person or a unequipped person. Because a lot of times, what I know I've taught in the past with mentees, I'll tell them, "Don't be a follower. Don't be a follower." And that's right in its perspective because you don't want to follow anybody that's doing anything wrong, and you don't want to be so gullible to give over to just any type of leadership or any type of impulse and you just go with the flow. That is a correct teaching of that ideal. But I would also teach the mentee that following means that on a deeper level, you have the ability to become humble and to give your gifts and talents into something that is beyond yourself. It's a basic fundamental lesson in giving. Any follower has to learn how to give. You give your time, you give your energy, you give your gifts and your talents. And so I believe that this is a great lesson for developing leaders. Now, every leader doesn't have to follow, but inevitably, we all end up following somebody or some system or some ideal of thought. Everybody is subject to following. Now, you can be the man at the top or the man or woman at the top of the food chain, at the top of the pyramid. But somewhere in there, you're going to be following something. You're going to be following some lesson that you read in the book or some ideal that you adopted into your own life. You're going to be following some school of thought. So it may not be a person, but you're giving yourself over, your energies, your gifts, and your talents to an ideal that has the ability to lead you to a place. So, in essence, we're all followers. But great leaders, what they understand how to do is they learn that it is my following. It is my following that allows me to develop the skills that when it's my turn to lead, I can pass on this ideal of following of community that's greater than myself, giving of my time and my energies for a purpose that's greater than myself, so that the generation coming after me is not robbed of their potential. You see what I'm saying? So as I teach my mentee, this is a great lesson. So in this ideal or in this characteristics of great leaders prepare others to follow. First, I follow myself and then I prepare others to follow so that this cycle goes on and on. So again, one of the lessons would be here for my mentee is we'll tell them that, hey, you know what? Let's connect ourselves to a cause. Let's connect ourselves to something where I'm not in the leadership seat. I believe that's the biggest deal because I've learned how to do that where I have to be part of works and part of organizations where I'm not the leader. See, I run my own company. I'm the father, I'm the head of my family, and I have a lot of leadership roles throughout my life. But sometimes purposefully, I choose a place where I am not the leader. I am not the one in control. I am not the one making decisions because I want to be able to still create this humility about myself that has the ability to get under somebody else to help their support. One of my greatest teachers, Jesus Christ, says, how can a man be given something if he can't first be faithful over that which is somebody else's? I believe that that's a great lesson to teach a mentee to be faithful over somebody else's, and inevitably down the line, you'll have your own. So just mark that down as a very important lesson.